Hello world, and we are back. My name is Kyle Fischl. This is going to be episode 199 of my poker vlog. For this one, as usual, I play a 1-3 and 2-5 session at Sarasota Florida, the One Eye Jacks Poker Club. Before I get into the hands, Hurricane Milton just passed through my hometown and cities around me. Left a lot of damage, a lot of devastation in the area. I hope everyone watching this has made it out okay. Wouldn't say well, no one makes it out of a hurricane well. If you want to see me get absolutely rocked by a hurricane, I made a video about Hurricane Ian last year, check that out. And additionally, if you're on a massive upswing in your poker career, consider donating maybe $1 to $5 to someone in need, even going through your pantry, getting some canned food items and giving it to someone who's lost all their food possible due to power outages and flooding and things such as that. Obviously, vet every organization before considering to donate, but now would be a wonderful time to help out your fellow man if you're able to. We'll have a few links in the description below. And with that out of the way, let's talk about some poker. First hand of note. We start out the 1-3 deep stack game waiting for the 2-5 table to open up, and we look down at 10-8 of clubs. From the hijack, we raise it to $15. The button is the only caller, so we end up going heads up to a flop, which comes ace-9-3 with 2 clubs. Now, you don't have to bet every flush draw you get when you're the pre-flop aggressor and you see a flop. But this one in particular, where we have a backdoor straight draw, we have a nut advantage with the ace-high board and us being likely the only player that can have pocket aces and possibly pocket nines. This one is definitely going to be a c-bet. So we continue for $15, and my opponent does not take too long before making the call. That's fine. We have a ton of equity, and we turn a pair on the 10 of spades. We're not going to slow down now. Maybe my opponent called with a random 9. Maybe he has 2 clubs that we just pulled in front of. And maybe some of his weakest aces will fold to 2 barrels. So we fire again, this time for $35. And again, my opponent does not take too long before making the call. The river is the ace of spades. When this card comes, I think it's pretty unlikely my opponent ever has an ace. I think I pretty much always have the best hand here, so I think it's a pretty natural check call spot. My opponent has like jack queen, king queen, any 2 clubs with no showdown value. They might try to bluff this one, and we can pretty easily bluff catch with our showdown value. So I check to my opponent, and he checks it back. I show immediately thinking that I win, and he has 10 jack off suit. So kind of a wild flop call with, I don't know, backdoor straight draws. Either way, we are unable to hit a flush. My opponent's able to hit a pair, and he is the winner on this one. The next hand of note is very, very interesting. I am in the big blind with pocket 5s. With 3 limps, the button makes it $20. I'm going to call with 5s from the big blind. No need to 3-bet. And all the limpers call as well. Seems to be a hand that's very easy to play. Post-flop, even multi-way, we either hit and we continue, or we kind of completely whiff and we fold. And we go 5 ways to a flop. The flop is jack 6-4 with 2 hearts. Kind of a fun one. We have backdoor straight possibility, and a board where my opponent shouldn't really connect all too often. So feeling pretty good about my hand. Would definitely call a bet if my opponent decides to c-bet, but this time it checks through. The turn is the 3 of diamonds, giving us a ton of equity. We have open-ended now. I'm going to bet small here because I'm betting into 4 other players. All the players to my left did not have the betting lead, so any of them could theoretically just have a jack and not really going to fold as played. So for $35, only the player to my left decides to call. Everyone else folds, so we end up going heads up to a river card, which is the Bink deuce of clubs. We have the second nuts, and it's time to go for some pure value. I decided on a sizing of $80. I'm trying to get called by just a single jack. Maybe 2 hearts will turn their hand into a bluff, at least sometimes, as this board got a little bit dicey for someone who bet the turn. My opponent thinks for a long time, looks like he's about to fold, gathers his cards, looking all around, and then eventually says all in. I'm actually completely shocked by this all in. It's for $750. It's a 2x pot bet. Like, how can he ever have 7-5 here? I have 2 5s in my hand. Additionally, he would have had to have 7-5, turn a straight, and then not raise on an extremely draw-heavy board. Like, any heart kills your action. 7 or 5 would kill your action a lot of the time. Deuce would kill your action almost always, unless I possibly have a 5 myself. And even any board pair would change the dynamic of the board so much that if you had 7-5, you could be beat, or the opponent would fold. But all that being said, I double block the straight. I have 0 hearts in my hand, so maybe my opponent has like ace-5 of hearts specifically, ends going for max bet here. And also, this opponent talked about how he wanted to make the vlog and said he was going to come after me. So I don't even think this is a difficult decision. I pretty much just kind of snap call this one. And my opponent obviously has 7-5.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad! You keep digging!
Possibly a massive cooler. Maybe you can just always get away from a 2x pot river raise. But when we double block the actual nuts, I think this is just impossible to fold. But please let me know what you would have done in the comments below. I may not respond to every single comment, but I do read every one of them, and I'm interested to see what the public thinks about this 80 to 750 call from me.
You're a suck is what you are. You are called suck.
Well, that was expensive, but we have ace jack offsuit, ace of clubs. From middle position with one limp, I raise it to $15. A late position player calls and the limper calls, so we end up going 3 ways to a flop, which comes king, queen, 3, all clubs. We have the nut flush draw, we have a gutter. Both are nice to have, but in this hand, an opponent leads for $25. I mean, I'm never folding, but this is just all kinds of goofiness happening at this 1-3 deep game today. So I make the call. I think that's pretty standard, and we actually bink a flush on the 8 of clubs turn. Now my opponent checks to me. I'm not going to check this one back. I mean, I hope he has like a flopped made flush that just hates this turn card but won't fold to a small bet. I'm at $35. Even 2 pairs and sets are probably going to call for this small sizing, but my opponent folds.
What?
So, you know, we pay off $750, can't get $35 back. This is starting to be an expensive day. We move to the seat with the better angle, and we look down at Jack 9 off suit from the cutoff. With 3 limps, we make it $20. All 3 players call, so I'm going 4 ways to an $80 pot, which comes ace Jack 9 with all hearts. It's definitely nice to flop 2 pair. Not great that it's a monotone board and we have none of those suits. But either way, when it checks to me, we're going to bet small here. 2 pairs should be good enough to get some value from any ace, any single king of hearts, all kinds of stuff. So we start with a $25 bet. Only one middle position player decides to call, so we end up going heads up to a turn card, which is the king of diamonds. Not my favorite. You know, we lose to king jack, queen 10, which was an obvious straight draw, ace king, although unlikely because he's a limp caller. Not impossible in these lower stakes games. But when my opponent checks to me on an extremely dicey card, I decide to check this one back. And then the river is the 7 of spades. Now my opponent bets $45. I said in my head that I was going to raise this bet when I saw him gathering chips, but then I kind of got a weird feeling. Got coolered already once today, decided to take a less variance route, and we choose to just call this one. And we were good against a single ace. So maybe if we didn't get punched in the mouth earlier, we would have went for the raise, went for the risk, try to make a comeback. But when you're hitting the mouth very hard, sometimes you just take a weaker passive route, but still winning a hand. We finally get called to the 2-5 table, and on this particular day, the game was horrible. Almost no action. Every single pot was like raise and take it. I did win a small one before I looked down at ace 10 of spades from the small blind. The button raises to $50 after an under the gun straddle, definitely a big size, but a suited ace 10 we're definitely calling. When we go heads up to a flop, the flop is 9-8-8 2 spades. Pretty good board, all things considered. Nut flush draw, overcards, backdoor straight draw. We got a lot of stuff going for us. When I check, my opponent continues for $50. We're never folding on this board with our exact hand, so we make the call. And the turn is the 10 of clubs. Top pair's pretty good. Beat ace jack, ace king, ace queen, all that stuff. So we're feeling pretty good about our hand, but then our opponent bets $130. Again, we're drawing to the nuts. Any 10 is probably the best hand. Any spade should be good. So for $130, we make the call here. And the river is the deuce of clubs. Black deuce, wrong black. Oh, hopefully my opponent just gives up on his ace queen, ace king, 2-barrel bluffs on this river. When I check it to him, he goes all in. Like, I don't even know what this bet is representing besides exactly pocket nines or nothing. I suppose because he's just a regular opener, he could have 9-8 suited too. Yes, it's unlikely to flop full houses, but it does happen, and I suppose if you had it, you'd be going for the max here. Could pocket jacks really 2x pot this river card? It blocks the straight, and it's an overpair, and I guess maybe ace 10 will pay it off because I'm thinking about it. But at the end of the day, I've already paid off one 2x pot bet.
You want to see me do it again?
And the guy just had the straight nuts. So maybe this opponent has straight pocket eights. I don't know. I end up folding. I'm done paying people off on this day particularly. And my opponent does not show, so he does not have quads because that would need to be shown to pay for a high hand, and I will never know what he had, and it is a mystery. This brings us to a final hand of note. I looked down a king-jack offsuit from the under the gun spot. I raised to $20. The +1 hijack cutoff and big blind call, so we end up going 5 ways to a flop, which comes king 10-9 rainbow. We're going to see about this one small. We have top pair. We don't want like queen 7 suited to be able to see free cards. So I continue for $30, and one by one, each opponent folds. So we're winning the small ones, losing the massive ones. That's not going to be a great day for me today. I lose $1,000 on this game across 3 hours, which equates to $333 an hour or 66 big blinds an hour. Yeah, pocket 5 specifically into 7-5, man, that one was big. It was week defining. I wouldn't say month defining. It wasn't like 2 buy-ins, but it was enough to feel it, enough to sting, hurt a bunch. But do think sometimes my opponent has missed hearts there. Sometimes they're losing their mind with pocket jacks. I suppose exploitatively, you could just always fold to a 2x pot raise on the river no matter what. Don't think too many people are going to be bluffing there, but when you have the absolute second nuts, that one might be just a little too strong to let go. If you have made it all to this point, thank you. I appreciate it. Please consider subscribing to my channel. Helps me out a great deal. That's how you could donate to me during this hurricane time. I would appreciate it, and I will see you on the next one.